Good evening, everyone. I'd like to welcome everyone to the Brawley City Council meeting this evening and successor agency to the Brawley Community Redevelopment Agency, calling this meeting to order here at 6 p.m. on June 18th. Could we get to roll call, please?
The minutes will reflect all council members present.
Very good. And if we can stand up, the invocation by Council Member Luke Hannon.
All right, let's pray. Almighty God, we are thankful to you tonight for this opportunity to guide our city once again, and we ask that you would be present in these proceedings this evening. We thank you for the safekeeping that you have given us and our law enforcement and our firefighters. We ask that you would continue to keep our city safe. We thank you for the many blessings and the privileges that we have in this town and in this country. We ask that you would just guide us, that you would lead us to peace and prosperity in our town. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen.
And our Mayor Pro Tem will listen to the pledge.
Ready? Begin.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you.
And thank you both for getting us kicked off here. And we'll go to our first item here, which will be item 1, approval of the agenda. Do we have a motion to approve?
So moved. A second.
You have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Seeing none. We'll go to item 2 on the agenda, which is public appearances and comments. This is not to exceed 4 minutes and is the time for the public to address the council on any items that are not appearing on the agenda, and that is within the subject matter jurisdiction of the city council. The mayor will recognize you when you come to the microphone, so please state your name for the record. And you are not allowed to make personal attacks on individuals or make comments which are slanderous or which may invade an individual's personal privacy. Please come up and direct your questions to the council. I welcome anyone to come up at this time. And it'll be to your left here. Looks like Hector's being summoned, but
Been nominated.
Somebody is. They're drawing straws now.
Okay, if it's not.
Hello, my name is Humberto Montiel. I'm with the Carpenters, 619, formerly 547. Can you hear me all right?
We can hear you,
Yep.
brother.
Yes.
Our presence today is to bring awareness of who we are and what we do. We are 50,000 plus strong Southwest region. We come from, we all live here in the Imperial Valley, but a lot of times we commute back and forth to San Diego, Indio, and that's because a lot of our local leadership does not award jobs to our local signatory contractors that we have. And so the union has provided us with health insurance, it has provided us with good pay, and it has afforded us a good middle class life. And so we want to continue to have that privilege, and if possible locally as well, because a lot of us, we live our everyday normal lives. We want to be able to continue to afford the life that we live, especially if it's here in our home. And so with all these upcoming projects, like for example, I know that's probably not your jurisdiction, but El Centro's gonna have that big CHP building. Also, Brawley's gonna have some upcoming projects. Whatever the project may be, we want to consider our council members on election day, and we want to also support them. We do campaigns throughout the Southwest region for our locality, and we help we help our council members and other elected officials, by phone banking and campaigns, walking, or whatever that may be. We have a political action committee, and we want to put our office council members to support our cause, and that is to continue to be able to provide to our families. And I'm sorry, I'm a little nervous. I didn't know I was gonna talk today.
You're doing great, brother. You're doing great.
But look, a lot of us are community. We have Hector here. You guys two little cute guys right here, future carpenters right there. Or maybe not, I don't know, some want to be engineers.
That's right.
But, yeah, so, we're all here because, we want to have a good relationship with our city and our council members and our community. Every relationship is a give and take. We're not here just to take, we also want to give, and we're very good at that, so, that's pretty much what we're here for,
Very good.
We appreciate that. Thank you.
So if you guys have any questions or, any doubts of like who we are or anything,
I didn't have it until then, bro. I didn't have any doubts until then, right there. I'm kidding.
He's just joking.
Nah, you're doing well, man. We appreciate you coming out here, and I know that obviously you all travel out of town to do work, and we don't always have projects in the city or in other cities throughout the valley, but certainly when we can consider and working with you and working with the contractors that support you, we will certainly consider that. So I appreciate you coming out here. And, everybody that comes up here it gets a little bit nervous, but I'll say this in all sincerity, you did very well. So, yeah, you did well, man. So I appreciate your comments.
okay, it's kind of intimidating.
No.
We're used to just yelling out in the job
Yeah,
site.
I know, right? Yeah, right, yeah. Hey, feel free to yell at him.
No, thank you all
Thank you.
for welcoming us and letting us give just 4 minutes of time, and we appreciate it. Also, if you have any community events, like for example, we can help, build little projects, help people in need. We like to do that. Like I said, we're a give and take relationship. We're looking to help our community as well.
And we may take you up on that very soon. We have some projects that are maybe small that we can work on together, so and that can benefit the community. We're making some improvements at our Line Center pool, and so those are things that. Oh, there we go.
That is our
I'll pass it on
special
to
rep.
All right.
And he's the one that organizes
All right.
all our events. So rest assured, make that call and we'll be there.
We appreciate it.
Very good.
Comments, yeah.
Thank you.
Thank
We
you all very
Thank you for your
Appreciate
comments.
All
Yes.
right, thank you.
Thank you very
you.
much. Oh, yeah.
Good afternoon, gentlemen,
How are you?
ladies.
Good
How are we doing
Good.
today?
Good, thank you.
Police matter again. So I take it we're done. There's not room in the budget for any help for them. So we've come up with a plan that hopefully we want you to think about. If 6 or 7 of us businessmen buy you a dog, send the dog to be trained, an officer to be trained with this dog, it would allow you to confiscate vehicles on drug busts, sell them, which would put money back into the budget to help compensate the officers. We are willing to pay for the dog. We figured out it's about 25 grand. That's also a year's worth of food for the dog. That's a year, sending the officer to be trained to be a canine, and donate it to the city of Brawley for the police department. We would like you to think about that. It might be another way of putting some more money in. Obviously, I'll buy the cars you confiscate if you sell them to me, but you put them up for auction, and those vehicles get sold, and I believe, number one, it'll help the officers because it's adding another officer that you really only have to feed. And number two, it will help, obviously we have a lot of drugs that flow through this town. It would help you confiscate vehicles. It would help you have things to sell. I mean, I understand, I've been doing my homework on this. If a vehicle is confiscated and with drugs in it, it belongs, you guys can seize it and sell it. That money could go into a coffer that could turn around and reward our officers in lieu of the raise that they were unable to get. Would you guys consider something like that, or would you please take that to consideration? And again, we're not asking the city to pay for it. We'll pay for it. We'll pay for the food. We'll pay for the training. We'll pay for it all. And basically, we would be giving you basically another officer. Because I understand the dog is an officer, is that correct?
Yes, but maybe some clarification on that if I can.
Can I borrow you?
Yes. So, thank you. I'm glad to hear the community is considering this. Just a couple things for clarification, though, just to make sure that the record's clear. I commend you for the effort. We certainly would like to launch a K-9 program. But when it comes to asset forfeiture, there's some spending restrictions that we would have. And I don't know that can be used for wages or salaries. There's some specific guidelines for the state. There's different guidelines for Department of Treasury, Department of Justice. So again, just to make sure that the council has an understanding that I think I'm definitely 100% behind the K-9 unit. It's one of my things on my 3-year plan for the city. And I would love the partnership with the community. But I want to make sure that we're clear on the salary portion. There may be some concerns on how that could be huddled back into the general fund for that purpose or for salaries at all. There's some exceptions to that, but it's pretty stringent on what the requirements are.
And see, that I'm not aware of. I just do know, what I did do was a check of the asset forfeiture part of it, which the money does come back to the city somehow. And maybe somehow we can use that money to reward these guys. And I mean, let's face it, with Marty's new project, it's gonna take fire and police and spread them even thinner. And you guys know where I stand. I've been up here enough times. I wanna just figure out how we can do this together. And there's 4 or 5 of us that are willing to pay for it all, donate it to the county, donate it to the city, whatever we need to do, however the proper agenda is to do it, so you can get the asset forfeitures, and wherever the money winds up, it still winds up back to Brawley, correct? So, plus, it is another officer for you technically, correct? I mean, it helps an officer. Right. So I'd like you guys to consider that and see if there's a way we can work that out, and we, be happy to do it. And again, I understand that an officer has to be trained. We'll pay for the food. We'll give you, we'll pay for the dog. We'll pay for the training, and that would be from 4 business people here in town that want to help. So it's coming from farmers that want to help out with our city. So if there's any way you guys can consider that and see if that'll help out, or if there's a way we can make that work, just please let me know how we can make it work, and we'll take care of it all. It won't cost you guys $1.
Thank you.
All right?
Appreciate that. Yep,
All
thank
right,
you very much.
thanks, guys.
Very good. Any other public comments? Anyone like to come up? Yep, you're on the agenda, but absolutely. If you want to introduce yourself, please.
Sure. Good evening, Mayor and City Council. My name is Herman Hernandez from Republic Services. I'm the division manager. And I just wanted to give you a brief update on some of the items that we've been working on, that have completed, and we're actually working on with the city. The first one is the cleanup event that we had on April 13th. Just to let you know, we had 307 total customers. That's the most that we've had between the other 2 franchises that we service with Imperial and City of Calexico. 307. Out of the 307 customers, we had 39 roll-off loads, those big, large dumpsters, of which 78.27 tons. So we had 78 tons of MSW, which is material solid waste, that was taken to the landfill, of which 8 loads were sorted aside for metals for recycling. So, was 17.84 tons. So in total, we had about almost 100 tons, 96.11 just to be exact, that was picked up on April 13th for the cleanup. So that's good news, right?
Yeah,
Want to get that
cleaning
picked
things
up.
up for sure.
Yeah. The second item I wanted to bring up was I was here back in December talking about organics and these assembly bills. I just wanted to provide an update because we got the audit completed. And the great news is that we're able to identify, we had the people that we employed that went out, did the audit, they went door to door, they got business cards, they did a detailed audit. So what we're able to do is identify 41 total food candidates that meet that exemption. In other words, that they're tier 3. And just to give you a small hypnosis of that, they generate 4 yards or more. What happens is in 2020, Assembly Bill 1826 is going to require food waste to be organics to be recycled, of which those exemptions that don't meet that criteria, that are 15 out of the 41, don't meet that mandate, but 26 do. Well, we're going to work with them so they can also be exempted for there by donating programs, food donation banks. And as a matter of fact, there's one that's opening here in Imperial that was moving from El Centro to Imperial. So we're able to make sure that the city of Brawley is in compliance and make sure that there's no fines or anything, that the city of Brawley is good with the Cal Recycle, because this is something that is from the state of California, but we want to make sure as partners in the community with Republic Services in the city of Brawley that we keep you up to date and that we're making sure that there's compliance. Some of the cities have received fines. So again, meet with City Manager Rosanna, Guillermo, and we'll continue doing that with the recycling and organics. Third piece I want to talk about was the Main Street alleys. I know that it's a concern, and we're all in. I just drove through there right now before I got in here. I want to make sure, but today we picked up 2 boilers, a mattress, a sink or something that was out there. It's disassembled. Again, right now I just seen 2 mattresses, another TV, projector TV. So tomorrow morning we'll send someone out there to pick that up. But we are working with city manager and Guillermo and the chamber to make sure that we come up with a solution, right? Not just going out there and cleaning up, but what is it that we need to do? Because we're part of the community. We want to make sure that we find a solution, and having blight in the city is not something that nobody wants, but we want to make sure that that we're involved, and we'll continue to be involved, and whatever it takes, you can count on Republic Services to be part of the community and make that happen.
And on if I could add something.
Sure.
Like, if we can do something as well, just educating the public not to dump out, because I think honestly, a lot of people, I just got a call the other day, and so it was, I clarified it real quickly, and I think they reached out to Republic and got some bigger items picked up. But some people may not know, and they dump them in alleys thinking that somebody will pick them up, right? They don't know who or what it is. But if we just educate the public, whether that's through social media or whatever it is, right? Just to let them know as well that they can call Republic Services and for some larger pickups and things of that nature, that might be useful.
Sure.
Yeah.
We do have next month scheduled a utility billing insert, a refresh in English and Spanish of all the free services that are available to single-family residential for bulk item pickup. So hopefully that'll be a reminder. We'll also shoot out texts, and if any assistance could be offered in the social media realm, that'd probably be a great way to push it out as well.
Yeah, and if anybody has an oversized item that they need help with, our drivers, our employees, myself, will go out there and we'll help them. We'll bring it out for them, whatever we need to do to make sure that we get that picked up.
Appreciate that. Thank you.
Thank you.
Very good. Thank you, Mr.
Thank you.
Hernandez.
Thank you.
Yep, appreciate
Almost
that.
100 tons of trash.
You have any, that's a lot.
Yeah.
You have anybody else for public comment? Very good. Seeing none, we'll move on. We'll move on to item 3, consent agenda. These items are approved in one motion. Council members or members of the public may request consent items to be considered separately at a different time determined by the mayor. Do we have a motion to approve the consent agenda?
Make a motion to approve the consent as written.
We have a motion. We have a second. We have a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Seeing none, that'll move us to item 4, regular business. 4A is discussion and potential action to provide a letter of support requesting a new International Boundary and Water Commission minute order that ensures the health, safety, and welfare of Imperial Valley residents and visitors. And comes a man that needs no introduction, I think, on himself. Chairman of our board, Mr. Ryan Kelly.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, council members, city staff. We're here to, as I mentioned previously in the past month, that we are taking action to challenge the International Boundary and Water Commission in regards to the New River discharge into Imperial Valley, and we're hoping that you join in support of this action. There will be, the Salton Sea Authority meets on Thursday. We will be talking about this as well. There is a citizens committee that is part of the IBWC's kind of liaison, and we're hoping that they're going to have it on their agenda early next week. I'll get the date to Alma, but it will be in El Centro. And that action will be a recommendation to the IBWC to address it. We've also made inquiries to NAD Bank and to the administration to increase the funding. As we understand, they don't have the types of resources committed at the moment. to do some of the things we're asking, including infrastructure improvements in Imperial County to clean the water here.
Very good. Any questions, comments from council?
I had just a question about the connection with San Diego and I think the Tijuana River estuary and some of the issues that they're having up there. Is this going to tie that into this, or how, or was there some move on to do that? That's what I'd heard. I don't know.
So the Imperial Beach City Council and some of the adjoining jurisdictions have done similar activity, but actually we're ahead of them in the way that we're trying to get all of our jurisdictions to join in with support letters for action. And Imperial Beach has taken notice. They were here a couple of weeks ago for the General Assembly, and they're starting that action now. A bit of difference between the two. The Tijuana River, not part of a treaty.
Right.
And the Attorney General for the state of California has already joined in that lawsuit for the International Boundary Water Commission. In this case, we've sent a letter in, I believe it was in January, to the Attorney General Becerra to meet with us on this topic. At first we got a denial, but most recently we've got a date that's floating right now, but it will be early next month, I believe, where he's going to come down to talk about this issue.
Any other questions, comments for Chairman Kelly? If not, be looking for a motion. Move forward with the letter of support.
So moved.
I have a motion.
Second.
We have a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Seeing none, and letters here, Mr. Chairman, I will sign it with staff and we'll get that out. Thank you. Very good. That'll take us to item 4B, which is discussion and potential action to adopt resolution number 2019. This is resolution for the City Council of the City of Brawley, California, adopting the vacation sick buyback program policy and eliminating the sick leave buyback program for management, confidential, and unrepresented employees. Backup material on pages 44 through 48.
Honorable Mayor, council members, audience, Shirley Benias, Personnel and Risk Management. On pages 44 through 48 is a proposed policy for your consideration. It will be their purchasing of vacation time from employees, and the parameters are 40, 40, 40. You need to use 40 hours within the previous year. You can sell up to 40 hours back to the city at your current rate of pay, and you will need to leave 40 hours on the books. We feel that this is a better program for the city of Brawley. More employees will probably be able to participate, but the biggest thing is vacation leave is a liability to the city. The city mandates, California law mandates that the city pay out vacation time when the employee leaves. The state law does not mandate sick time is paid out. So that's why we're eliminating the one program, the sick leave buyback, and replacing it with the vacation leave buyback.
Good.
Okay.
All right. Thank you, Shirley. Questions from council? Questions or comments? I think we, in previous dates, have covered some of these topics, and certainly
Yes.
the backup materials in there. So seeing none, do we have a motion to approve?
Make a motion
We got a motion.
to
Do we have a
approve, I should say.
Do we have a second?
I'll second.
We have a motion, second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Seeing none, thank you, Shirley. We'll go to the next item on the regular business part of our agenda, 4C. This is discussion and potential action to adopt resolution number 2019, resolution of the City Council, City of Brawley, California, authorizing and approving interim expenditures prior to adoption of fiscal year 2019-2020 overall budget for the City of Brawley. Again, backup materials are pages 49 through 50.
Mayor Wharton, this is a follow-up item to a previous update to the council. We are looking to schedule budget adoption late summer or possibly September, depending on council's availability. This action proposed this evening would allow for the city to continue its operations prior to adoption of the new fiscal year budget.
Absolutely.
I'll make the motion.
Okay, we have a motion. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
And a second, and I'll just remind, again, the public, I think our finance director also, I shared some comments at the last meeting as to the nature of that and the work that's being done. So we have a motion, we have a second. Call for the question here. All those in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed? Seeing none, we'll move on to the next item, which would be item 5, departmental reports. Public Works Department, Wildcat Drive project overview, emergency construction at the Brawley Water Treatment Plant, looking for that update to replace the components of the 2 sedimentation basins.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, members of the council, Guillermo Sillas, Public Works Director. An update was requested for the project of Wildcat Street construction and includes several components, but in the city's portion of the section that will be constructed, as of yesterday, we finally submitted the full package to Caltrans to obtain authorization to proceed with construction. It is anticipated that, or hopefully during the remaining of the month of June, we will receive that authorization, and we can plan for the advertisement of the project that it is expected to finalize the contract award by October. At that time, since it is involved the undergrounding of the best canal in that section, so we will have to make a pause and wait for the IID to do the job that most likely will be toward the end of the year, because it's when they are allowed to shut down the canal for agricultural reasons. And they will be doing that. After that, we will resume activities with the construction of our street, and we expect to complete that project on April of the next year. There are other components. Remember that project is just the south side between Western and First Street. And there's 3 developments involved in Wildcat, 2 on the north, which is Mainland Park Subdivision, Victoria Park Subdivision on the north, and on the south is Larigo Ranch. The 3 subdivisions are responsible to complete Wildcat Street and with the component of the IID Best Canal undergrounding. The portion of Mainland and Victoria, which is on the north, are in close connection with our project completion. So we will work together to be able to complete our project, and probably at the same time or a little before, the 2 north developments will be able to do their part on the north side. It is unknown yet what is the timing for the south side completion, because it's tied to Larigo Ranch, which we don't have right now a schedule for that. And the IID needs to have the final design of the street to be able to complete their design of the phase 2 from First Street to Dogwood. So that's pretty much, I know that is probably confusing because there's a lot of components, but in general, not getting into much detail, that's the overview of Wildcat.
Very good. No, very thorough. Thank you. Guillermo, any questions on that? I know we have the sedimentation update basin.
I'm getting some questions from the public regarding funding for that and what we're doing versus what the subdivisions have to do and all that. Is there some way that we can give them some information in the future on that?
Yes, we would be happy to recap the funding awarded. If I may just sketch out a couple extra details relative to Guillermo's explanation. So we had a major milestone hit yesterday, which was the completion of the design and the submittal of the design project. So the design phase for that first leg from the rear of Walmart to First Street, that's the project that we're fully undertaking. that design work, once we get the authorization to proceed, we go out to bid and we construct that portion on the south side of Wildcat that will connect the rear of Walmart to Latigo Ranch subdivision.
Okay.
Okay, and then in connection with that activity, undergrounding has to occur first, and that undergrounding arrangement is with support for IID on the second portion. The first portion was the city responsibility to underground that segment that was necessary to address Wildcat to First Street. The total amount of the CMAQ award of funds, it hovers around $1 million, but we'll get to you, there's a design
in
award.
general, is design and construction is about $1 million.
Okay.
Okay.
And that's a CMAQ grant.
That is the
That's the
CMAQ
CMAQ
grant.
grant.
And when that work is completed, what will be left is the remainder of the canal to underground. It'll either all get done at the same time by IID or in sequence. One portion that allows First Street to get, the segment to First Street to get constructed, and then the remainder to South Imperial Avenue.
Okay.
Everything else that is constructed that relates to Wildcat after First Street on the north side, in addition to the easterly extension, will all be privately constructed.
And that's with the two developments there?
Three developments.
Well, the one on the south, the one on the north.
There are two on the north and one on the south. Yes.
So they will be paying for the balance of that?
Correct.
Okay.
Except for the 25% that the city will be paying of 1.85 million undergrounding of the Best Canal.
That's right.
Right, which is
Okay.
about 400 and something, $440,000 or so.
So we'll be able to see, the expectation is that we'll see some work starting out there like in October, you think? Or is that too early?
I don't think so. It will be most likely January.
Okay.
Because we have to wait, it doesn't, we will award the contract soon, but we will have to temporarily suspend it to allow IID to do the construction. But since they can do it only on December, so we will have to wait. We could do some work, but it will be like double mobilization. That will be more expensive. So we will wait until they finish to resume activities. But most likely before that, you will be looking activity from the development on the two developments on the north side
Okay.
before we can start.
Thank you.
Okay. All right.
Yep.
Okay,
Yeah,
are
ready
we
for
moving
the
on
next?
to the next item?
Yep.
Okay. So the next update is on the water treatment plant sedimentation basin component replacement. Since last council meeting to today, we are in close coordination with the contractor. They were reviewing the documentation, and finally, I believe that toward the last week, they said that they agree with the documentation and they submitted to the bonding company to issue the bonds. So we haven't received those yet, but we are on the process of the documentation, and hopefully soon we can give you the notice to proceed date.
Any questions?
We continue with the emergency. It's just that we are on the process, right? But the emergency continues.
Understood.
I would like to. It is not included on the agenda, but everybody, I believe, that is asking about the traffic signal at Cesar Chavez.
Yeah.
I made as I mentioned on the previous council meeting, I made contact with Caltrans engineer in Imperial Valley, and he offered to contact the electrical supervisor for District 11, but to see if they can find a cabinet that they could donate to the city, because it's the only way that they could do it due to their policy. Unfortunately, they were unable to find it, but the engineer was going to do another research with another section of Caltrans to see if they could find something. In the meantime, we received, as previously informed, a preliminary quote from a local company to do the purchase and installation, but it wasn't very detailed. They said that during this week they will go to the field and do a more detailed quote. So hopefully we can get that quote, and most likely we will be coming back to you for to make a decision on how to proceed, because it is very long lead time to do it if we start today, and if we have to add the procurement process, it will take us even longer. So we will need to make a decision what to do to avoid to be an extended period of time without the traffic signal working.
Very good, very good. And please certainly extend our gratitude to Caltrans in making that effort and see if we can locate that. So thank you, Guillermo. Any other questions, comments? Thank you very much. Great departmental report. We have no others under that, so we'll move to item 6, which is City Council Members' Report, and we'll begin with Councilmember Hamby.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I attended a Planning Commission meeting after the last council meeting. Fairly straightforward. Today I attended a Parks and Rec meeting as the liaison from the City Council, and I was struck by a couple of things. One being that in some of the meetings that include the public that are outlining some of the offerings that we have in Parks and Rec, like some of the sports that we offer, that people tend to get really worked up and passionate about the sports that they love, and they go beyond civility, they go beyond courtesy, and become very vocal and irate. And it's disappointing to see that. I know there are good people in our community that love to play sports and that are courteous and civil and see it as a game and enjoy it. But I just want to publicly say to those who take it beyond a community game, a community sport, and make it into something that's mean and nasty, shame on you. I just want to say that to those people. Beyond that, I was contacted by some concerned community members about some of our parks offerings. One was the height of our basketball hoops in Hinojosa Park, the new basketball hoops being 1.5 inches lower than regulation. And that's a pretty good eye, but he did have a tape measure. And so I spoke with Miguel. He's going to check and see if there's an adjustment that can be made without having to take the whole thing apart. But I'm glad to see at Abe Gonzalez they've got some new fencing up there. And there again, under the heading of this is why we can't have nice things, after new fencing was put in, someone went in pretty quickly and tried to bend it, push it open at the bottom, and it's unfortunate that some people in the community can't stand when we have new things that are nice and clean. But I appreciate what Public Works and Parks and Rec is doing to try to come in after people have vandalized or damaged things and fix them quickly, because I know it's an attractive nuisance. When something's damaged, people take that as an opportunity to damage it further or damage more things on city property. So again, to those people, shame on you, but thank you to Parks and Rec for your hard work. I had the privilege of attending a tree planting right outside the chambers here, right outside our city manager's window. Johnny on Wheels donated a tree through Comité Civico, and we had a little tree planting ceremony, and it was heartwarming and touching because he dedicated that tree in the memory of Mike Mello, Marjo's husband. And we had a nice time. My little boy got to throw some dirt and break a shovel, so it was good. Let's see. I attended a ribbon cutting at One Drop Cafe yesterday morning, and tried my first acai bowl, and it was pretty good. I don't know that I'm ready to dedicate my life to Donnie's method of, weight loss and working out and that kind of stuff, but maybe by the time I'm 50, I'll be ready for that.
Oh, dear.
I don't know, Donnie.
Because the mayor's in better
65,
shape
I'm
at
not
50
ready.
than I am at 41. So. Along the lines of Republic Services, I was also contacted by a community member about alley cleanup, not off of Main, but just in residential areas where people have dumped debris and rubble and tree trimmings and that kind of stuff, and asking if there's some kind of collaboration either between private citizens and Republic and the city or something like that, where we could start to do some cleanup in some of those alleys that are in really bad shape.
If I could just add a comment to that. I had proposed something in years past. It was going to be like a community cleanup effort where it was just focused on alleys. Maybe we can reignite
Yeah.
that thought, so
Yeah.
that would be something. And we can start in different segments of the community.
Perfect.
Because
I
it's
do
a lot
remember-
of work. I mean, it's...
I remember taking a ride with you and looking at some
Yeah,
of those
remember
alleys.
that? Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
And I have been contacted numerous times about railroad crossings in town being rough, and so I went and took a look at took some pictures and video as cars went over, and certainly there are some issues there. And I let the city manager know, and she's been good about contacting Union Pacific to try to get a work order written so that some repairs can be made there. And it looks like it's starting to move forward, so I'm glad
Guillermo
to see
might
that.
have some additional information
Great.
for you if you'd like.
Yes, I would like to make an update on that also. Today, this morning, I had a meeting at the site. We visited 5 crossings that we have in the city with one of the inspectors of the Union Pacific that is in charge of this region. And we identified the 2 more criticals are the Mainland Street crossing and K Street is also requires some work, but it was agreed that probably it will be more damage than benefit because the concrete pads are welded, and so they are not in the best shape, but they are in. You can cross, without any concern. Mainland, he anticipated that they don't have in the near term major reconstruction project on their budget, but they will do some rehabilitation, quick, not something very elaborated, but they will make it work by lifting, by changing, by doing something to, try to make them even on Mainland. And definitely on B Street, you can see 2 railroad tracks, what they call the main track that was recently, maybe, I don't know, a couple of years ago, they did some major reconstruction because of a problem that they had. And what they call the siding track, which is what they use for maneuvers, so is the one that is sunk. And he will start with material requests with his supervisor to do a repair, not a major reconstruction, but certainly a repair. And they will do some probably welding also, and they will raise the tracks to make it even with the other one, and to make some patching, asphalt patching and sealing to avoid water intrusion, so to restore that. So, but in reality, or in summary, they will do work on B Street and Mainland, which are the 2 more critical.
Great. Thank you.
Thank you.
That's it for my report.
Very good. Thank you, Councilmember Hamby. Councilmember Couchman.
Okay. I attended a food bank dinner and little showcase tour of the new food bank facility at their invitation last week. Very nice, very modern facility. Very lot of storage area. Very well done. I think Duggan's was the construction They have like an amphitheater outside, a little like a plaza type theater thing that might be available for events and other things of that nature. Special events where cities are involved, especially the city of Imperial, but also possibly city of El Centro and even city of Brawley, and also other organizations. Nonprofits might be able to utilize that facility for that purpose. They have loading docks now, which they didn't have before. They have some big fans in there. I won't say what the name of those are, although there is a brand name, and it's not very pleasant, but they're really large. And so, and there's a lot of other things that they have there. Kitchen that can be utilized for events, major kitchen with modern equipment and a lot of storage and a lot of cooling capacity. And so overall very nice for the people in need here in Imperial Valley. And so it's a very, very nice facility. So I did that. I also did a Rotary dinner kick-out party for our outgoing president and incoming president, Frank Salazar, at Pioneers Memorial Hospital last week, and so that we got that done, and he will be our incoming president. He's our outgoing and our incoming, so he'll serve 2 years. So we did that. I also attended the ribbon cutting at the One Drop Cafe on Main Street. Nice little cafe, outdoor area, indoor area, very nice little cafe. If you like the food.
Acai bowl.
Yes, but they have a lot of neat drinks too, like smoothies and different things of that nature, so I thought that was kind of neat. Also, I attended the IID meeting today with our Mayor Pro Tem to receive a check for our summer youth programs here, our summer swim programs here, to keep the children out of canals. Dippy Duck presented us with, I think it was $2,000, and so that was really nice on behalf of IID. So we were all over there, and all the other cities were over there getting their money also. And with that, that's all I have to report.
Thank you, Councilmember Couchman. Councilmember Nava.
I'll just keep it super brief. I did participate in that walk and talk tour that I mentioned at our last meeting with the city of El Centro. The community services director was able to meet with myself and other members of the Imperial County Association of Realtors, and really eye-opening some of the materials that they use for economic development and other things. I think were very impressive. I didn't bring them with me, but I hope to get some other copies to share with the rest of council. I think it'll be very useful as we look to promote business and development here in our city. And so we actually ended up at the pavilion, Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Pavilion, and very nice facility. I hadn't been there previously, and toured that facility and just really talked about development that's taking place within the city of El Centro, from housing development, and obviously that's of importance to the Board of Realtors, but also economic development in general and things that are taking place, and even the facilities, even city facilities that are being rehabbed and developed. Some are a little further out, but we also talked about how their tax measure is generating a very significant amount of money every year now, and so that has helped them really put some projects online and offset some costs. So that was really eye-opening. I hope that we can come out here to the city of Brawley and share on the things that are taking place here within the city, and maybe quick drive around some of the local newer developments and the things that are taking place. So I thought it was very useful. Like I'd mentioned previously, the Board of Realtors is comprised of members from throughout the Imperial County, and they have a lot of influence on buyers and development. So even though they're not always vocal at council meetings, I think it's very beneficial anytime we can get a message of development and things that are taking place in front of those people, because they get to share that story elsewhere. So that was very good. Also, I did attend the graduation for the high school class here in the city of Brawley. My son graduated as a senior, and was happy to see that. But it was also very well organized, so and the weather was really nice too. Yeah. So that was very. It was just nice overall, nice breeze, and it wasn't too hot, and we enjoyed it quite a bit. But I did want to compliment and commend the high school district, because I thought it was well organized and it worked out very well. And also celebrated my daughter's birthday yesterday. She's 2 years old, and time is, I have one leaving into college and then one starting out. But I'll tell you, she's like more sassy than he is. She's something else, man. She turned 2. I call her a teenager because she's like got this attitude. My goodness. But anyway, I don't want to keep it too long. So thank you all very much, and I do appreciate the Carpenters Union coming out here and staying for the entire duration. Most guys will be here for a quick presentation and split. Certainly appreciate you. They want to leave for sure, but, you know what I mean? But you know, I think, see, look, he's laughing because it's
We're
true.
gonna have to find some candy or something
Right,
for
I know,
them.
yeah. Here, we got
Checks.
some snacks. Yeah, we got some snacks. We got some fun.
I think he wants it, really.
Yeah, pass it along, would you?
We can pass them along, really, yeah.
Yeah, maybe you can give them Sam.
You
Yeah.
want my stacks too?
We'll pass them.
So thank you all very much for being out here. Appreciate it. And that is my report for today. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember Nava. Mayor Pro Tem.
Okay, well, I also attended a couple of events that most of us were able to attend, the One Drop Cafe ribbon cutting, and I do recommend it, and hope all of you can go by there. We want to support, you know, our small businesses, and a lot of really cool stuff to keep you cool during the hot days, and so try it. It's on Main Street. You can access it through the front on Main Street or through the back alley, and there's parking in the back, okay? And you don't have to have the acai bowls, but they are really good. I tried them too. I also attended, along with co-counsel Sam Couchman, the IID presentation today. They actually presented $2,000 to each one of our cities in Imperial County. Very much appreciated. We need it for our swimming pool and maintenance and all. And
And you turned over the check.
and I turned over the check to our treasurer already, to our finance director, so. And let's see, I guess the thing about the tennis courts is coming back around. There for a little while, there was some community members that are really, really interested in us doing something about Meserve Park. The tennis courts really need to be redone. I got another call from another lady that is interested or wanted to know what was happening with that. I'm going to have to follow up with a group. They were looking for grant money to see if there's a group of people working on that. They're looking for grant money to see if they can redo those tennis courts. And in the middle of that, now we have a few people saying, why don't we just turn it into a dog park? So, I mean, there's always different ideas coming forward, but I will follow up on that and see where we are with the grant that these people were pursuing. They were very serious about it, so I think possibly by now they may have an answer, I'm not sure. And I also had a real busy weekend past week with graduations and birthdays, and happy to announce that I have one granddaughter going from, graduated from 8th grade going into high school, and then I had one graduating from Imperial Valley College. And that, according to the president there, was the biggest class of graduates in Imperial Valley College, and they're really, it's really grown. So they had to have 2 ceremonies at IVC this year. Very impressed with their program. I think our educational institutions are doing a really great job with our kids. So I was real happy to be able to attend that, and that's about it. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor Pro
just
Tem, for
one
that
other
report.
thing. I'm
Yeah,
sorry.
Sure.
I just wanted to also thank the Carpenters Union for being here today and offering to assist us, and we'll be calling you. Thank you. Okay.
Thank you.
And for not bringing your bats, you know, that's always good. They're back there. They're back there.
Hammers.
Yeah,
Carpenters, yeah. Yeah. All right. Just a couple things to report. I think I brought this up a couple of council meetings ago, but just something to consider and continue to think about maybe as council. Hopefully, we could do some planning, but off-road season coming up still in the fall. I did have a recent meeting as well as past meetings that I've referenced of the off-road community, including retailers, as well as some of the big players that are now in the valley, such as Polaris. Potentially staging kind of a pre-season event, showcasing what goes on out there, products, the whole activity of off-road. And I also remind everybody 1.2 million approximate visitors per year go out and recreate in our off-road lands. So Brawley being one of the key, I think, gateway communities is certainly...
Gateway to Glamis, we talked.
Gateway to Glamis, and I think there's a lot we can leverage there. We're certainly known for our rodeo and cattle call. This could be another very prominent event that we can put ahead of that and kind of kicking off and celebrating the off-road season. So again, more to come. I do hope to get the right stakeholders together and engage with staff and see what that could look like. So that planning needs to begin pretty soon.
Can I interrupt? great
Yeah,
idea. We've
sure.
talked about it before, I love it.
Yeah.
And then I talked to you about like a mounted patrol, maybe that could be a time to do it too, during that time. Yeah.
Absolutely, kind of a little page
On
out of.
horseback, just have,
yeah.
focusing on Glamis
Many
and the Canico. Yeah, anyway,
Equestrian
sorry.
focus,
Yeah.
law enforcement, absolutely.
Cool. I like it.
So just touching on that, also attended the One Drop Cafe. I think somehow I ended up the authority on the menu. I'm not, even though there are a few items on there. But I do make that recommendation. I appreciate my council and staff certainly attending, including our police chief. I don't know if he ordered something, but it looked like, yep, I see nodding head, very good. Outside of that, I hope everyone had a great Father's Day. I certainly did. So to all the dads out there, definitely, there's probably no greater role for all of us, outside of even being officials or all of us members of the public, than raising our families and being that head of household. And I think, as our union representatives here referenced about quality of life with your family, and that certainly begins with great dads. So shout out to all of you, belated. One item I do want to bring up, I know fireworks season is bearing down on us. I was surprised nobody's mentioned that yet, but I know the same communications will go out, and I know we've had this conversation in the past, but just one other thing, so it's not brought to us. I know we had some discussion about considering the ordinance, about adding some more teeth, or at least looking at the fine of really doing everything we can to make it a deterrent, not saying it isn't now, but apparently maybe that number's not high enough, and I know I've talked about that with Councilmember Hamby in the past. But if we can maybe consider it in or around, if that comes as an item and something that the council has an appetite. But I think as 4th of July rolls around, we're probably going to go through some of the same issues that we seem to every year. So bringing that up. Other than that, someone mentioned the weather. I think the weather's been unbelievable. So we have bought back many days of what would have been summer. So say your prayers, and hopefully that keeps going. I hope everyone enjoys. So that's my report. With that, I will move on to item 7, which is our city manager's report.
Nothing further to report at this time.
Thank you, city manager. Next item is city attorney's report.
So we filed a petition for an injunction to clean up a property on, I think it's 14th and I Street. So that's been served today to the owners. They don't reside there. They reside in a very nice house in El Centro, and hopefully they'll do something about their rotten little house in Brawley.
I mean, if you haven't driven past that place, I encourage everybody just to drive by it. Everyone, really. It is awful. And it takes forever for a city to be able to take action on those things, because there's legal
Property rights.
requirements that we have to meet. But just drive by it. I mean, it's worth your time. Just pass by it. And somebody has to live next to that.
Hopefully it'll
I think it's really bad. I think it's.
they'll have to hire an attorney, and it'd be easier to just make their tenants clean up.
Yeah.
Thank you, our city attorney's report, and item 9 will be our city clerk's report.
Just a reminder of the Branding Iron Award
That's right.
dinner this
Friday.
Friday. All of you guys are signed up.
Very good, looking forward to that. This Friday, 6 p.m.,
And
I
then we'll
believe.
give you more information on the Andy Reese
Big opening.
parade.
Saturday, right?
It's
That's
Saturday,
Saturday, right?
from 8 to 11.
Yeah.
Heard there was a little buzz around that.
It just, it's,
Yeah.
I had
think they got
a
it
previous
resolved.
event at the same time. It's like.
On Saturday for the,
Yeah.
Very good, thank you to our city clerk. So at this time, we'll go to closed session. We'll take a brief break. Thank you, everyone, for attending tonight. Have a good evening.